in Stewart from, you're going to say it. Go ahead, Ethan.
Centennial Financial Group.
Centennial Financial Group. Awesome.
Yeah.
So he has so much value to share with us today. I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and then I'll go and show you when we're done one of the features that we're going to be offering. All right, let's jump into this today. So you had talked about, we met, where did we meet? What meeting was that? It was really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the networking events that we have around here. It's actually tonight if you want to come out for it again. But yeah, it was, the name, I don't even know if it has a name right now, but it was that event.
Nice. That was down, I know Travis, who brought you involved in that group.
I know a lot of those people. I've been in Johnstown. I'm linked to a lot of those people. So I think it was a Mike Riska who actually sent me the invite. But I know Travis. I know a bunch of people there, and so yeah, we ended up in the same spot, which
Nice.
works out. I'm very thankful for.
Yes, and there are so many people in Cambria County, business owners, leaders, managers, and community that are really trying. And if you haven't seen this, I don't know where you've been, because everybody that I've been talking to is seeing the difference that people in the county are making, from new businesses that are coming into the area to networking groups like we were talking about. If you are a business owner or a leader in your community or anything, we highly suggest that you start going in. We're going to start posting those. I know Travis posts those on his site. We're going to start posting in here, because meeting people that are like-minded and want to do things for the community is always great. So Ethan, let's talk about your company and where you work.
Absolutely. So we are a holistic financial planning firm, which means that we work with individuals and specifically business owners. We work with businesses as well, but we help them to achieve what they want to from a financial standpoint. And so how that typically works is we have an in-depth conversation about where they are financially. So, what are your investments, liabilities, debt, things along those lines. Just get a clear picture of where you are financially. Then we have an in-depth conversation about where you want to go. And for us, that's the differentiator. And what we find important is that, what you want out of your money is different for everybody. And especially with business owners, they're not the type that are going to retire and actually take a step back. They're always going to be doing something, just might be the next project. So what we try to do is really go into what you want your money to do for you. And then once we clearly have a breakdown of what your goals are, where you want your money to take you, then what we do is, okay, what are the steps, what are the strategies to take you from where you are to where you want to go? So that's a quick nutshell what we do. It involves investing, tax management, debt management, different things along those lines.
How did you personally get started in this industry? Like, who are you? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I'm actually not a Cambria County native. I am unique in the space in the sense that I moved here about 8 years ago, and I actually moved from Northern Virginia. That's where I was born and raised, and my heart's back in Northern Virginia. But I really enjoy that area. I really enjoy it here. So how we ended up here? The question that follows from why'd you move up here is always the next question. And the reason I moved up here is because I got into the industry because I wanted to do three things. I wanted to help people. I wanted to learn sales, and I want to learn finance. And so I've been doing that ever since I pretty much graduated. And what brought me up here is my grandfather actually started this firm, and I took it over several years ago. And he gave me basically an offer I couldn't refuse to come up and get my licenses and everything I needed to do. But it was not with any commitment. It was with every intention, to be honest, with me getting my licenses and then going someplace else. And he was fine with that. So we had a good arrangement. But what kept me around was that I really liked the area. There's a lot of good opportunity. And kind of what we've talked about is that there's a ton of entrepreneurial opportunity. And that's really what I love. That's my passion, is to build business. And there's a ton of that opportunity around here. I mean, what I've always said the first day I came here is that it's a blank slate. It's a place to be able to grow something that may not be here, or even may not be a new idea. Like, for example, I started a co-working space several years ago in town. It's not a new idea. It wasn't innovative, but it was innovative for here. It was the first time it was done here. And so I built that, and I had to close. I decided to close it down in 21, I believe. But the point is that you can bring ideas from elsewhere into a town that doesn't have it, and there's other ways to leverage the benefits that we have here. So yeah, that's what brought me here. That's what kept me around, and I've been running my firm for about 8 years, and I've been in the business for about 10. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Back in the day, whenever I used to work for a corporation, you had 401 taken out, you had all your different things taken out. But when you become an owner, sometimes you forget about that stuff and you let it slide. Oh, I'll put money into savings next year. Or I'll get 401 next year. Or I'll get my retire, whatever. And then the next year just doesn't come sometimes for business owners. And I had a real wake up call one time, and I hired a financial planner, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because at the time I was like, I don't need someone to tell me where my money needs to go. I don't even have money back in the day.
Yeah,
I'm going to need to hold it. Why am I going to pay him? But whenever we sat down and did like a consultation, it was so enlightening to me, because I said, you know what? That is not my area of expertise. Like, there are people like yourself that actually do this for a living. You study the stock market, you study where your money should go, you study this, study that, or whatever. And I was able to, I was like, yeah, I don't have retirement. I don't have life insurance. I was having children. Like, oh my gosh, my life was a mess. And he broke it down very easily for me and worked it into the budget that was financially affordable for me. And it was absolutely great. So why would you recommend someone coming to you or whoever for financial services, and why would they need it?
yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great question. So, and I appreciate you bringing a couple things up. So, first off, there is three types of people out there, and this is I like to say that I work with two people, two of them. Third one, and all three are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the philosophy around money, but there's people that I can help more effectively than not. So the three types of people are people that might be able to learn what I know, or interested in finance, and might be able to do it, but they just don't frankly want to have. They just don't want to. They don't have the time. They don't want to make that commitment. They just want to outsource it, just like you would outsource anything else. A lot of business owners fall in that category. Is that it's just an efficient way. You hire for your weaknesses, and then you leverage your strengths, and that's just another way to do so. And so anybody who might want to do it, but just doesn't want to take the time and just doesn't want to commit that time to handle it, they just want somebody to handle it for them, then that's where we can help out, and we can help that type of person. Again, a lot of business owners tend to fall into that category. Second category that we can help out is people that may not want to learn it or never will learn it, and just really don't know it, or don't have that expertise, or have no interest, but they just want some trusted person to handle it for them because they know it's important. And so that I can help that group of people as well. My philosophy when I work with my clients, I tell them that I am really big in education in my firm. So I have that YouTube page and other resources that I try to do to educate my clients, because I want to make what I like to say is I like to educate you enough to be dangerous. What that means is that you have enough education around finance. I'll be the expert. I'll know everything, and I'll be the expertise. But I want you to know enough to be dangerous. So not only can we have intelligent conversations, it will make my job better, because you'll be able to bring up better questions, make more informed decisions. So it'll help both of us out. But also, if somebody ever came across or brought something up to you, you can't be taken advantage of, because I think unfortunately there's a lot of ignorance in the finance world that can be taken advantage of. So that's what I try to do for my clients. So that's how I can help those two categories, the first two categories. The third category are the do-it-yourselfers, is what we call them. People that love to do it themselves and just do it themselves. There's other financial professionals that will help those individuals out. And I have no problem with that. I have a bunch of friends that do that, which is perfectly fine. And some people prefer to do that. But that's not my expertise. If you want, I shouldn't say expertise. It's not the type of person I like to work with, because my job is I'm a financial professional. So if you're going to be questioning everything that we do, and always making wanting to do it yourself, then why are you paying me? So that's kind of the idea there. Now, oftentimes that third type transitions to realizes that they don't want to deal with it anymore, in which case then I can help out with them. But I'm limited on being able to help out those types because, hey, if you're doing it yourself, fantastic, keep it going. If you ever want any help with like some feedback, I'm happy to do that. But typically, those that work on their own, they continue to do so and do it well. So, so that's those three individuals are good reasons, depending on what category you're in. Those are good reasons to outsource or hire somebody if you're just trying to get your financial world in order, or just don't want to handle it. It's very important to do something because there's very few times I've sat down with a prospective client or an individual who has everything perfect. There's usually some opportunity for improvement, but you won't know until you pursue that. So I do think that it makes sense. Now, to go further into your question, for business owners especially, it's very important to get a financial advisor as soon as you can, or a financial professional as soon as you can. The more importance, and this is unbiased, but you want to get an accountant first, you want to get an attorney. Those two are very important. But then you want some sort of financial professional to help you, again, take the finances off of their feet. Because what I find is that what you were talking about is you invest in the business, you think, okay, I'm going to set up a 401k next year, you push it down the road. It's not a priority, and typically. And what I call that is there's a situation that I call the business owner conundrum that business owners can easily get into. And I specialize with business owners as well as business owners that are looking to retire and exit their business. So I help increase the value of their business and then help them position it optimally to exit and retire, because that's a whole nother beast. And the reason you want to do it that way is that the business owner conundrum is that oftentimes business owners merge their personal and business finance together. And what that means is, like you were saying, you scale your business, focus on the business, try and make it, pour everything you can into your business, which you should in the early stages. However, what I find is oftentimes business owners stay in that stage and continue to do everything into the business, increase their income stream, whatever it may be. But now they only have one asset, and oftentimes a very valuable asset, but it's only one asset that's also and this is a financial terminology, is very illiquid, meaning it's difficult to sell. So if you are on paper have a $5 million business, that's still just on paper. You can't just go to that business and take out, you can't just pull cash from that business necessarily. It's harder to do. So how you avoid that business owner conundrum is that you avoid that by doing personal and business as you're able to. Again, in the startup stage, you want to invest in everything you can to ensure that your business succeeds. But once you get past that, and once you have some strength, solidity in the business, a good client base, then you want to start separating personal from business. So you want to start investing for your personal as well as your business. Keep those separate. So once you get to that stage of exit, then now you have an amount, bucket of personal monies you can use in the meantime as you're liquidating from the business asset itself. But most business owners I've seen just have it once. And that's why it's so important to start early, is that a financial professional can help organize and focus you on both pieces so that you don't get in a situation where it's tricky. All you have is to be able to exit a business. Now, again, you can do that, and it is, and in fact, we can help with that, but it's not a simple thing, and it's not quick. And so in order to get you more flexibility, you diversify your assets.
Okay. And we talked earlier about, not earlier, but just you and I, about the topic today as well. What about the people that are listening that are not business owners? There's 5 tips for financial, for uncertain times. And we keep hearing about that, after COVID and there was all kinds of things happening. People were starting to get back to life, of course, but it still hurt the economy a lot. And it still hurt a lot of us, whether we were owning a business or not. And a lot of people were talking, it's not necessarily over. So cost of eggs, everybody's, was talking about before. It was like $9 for a stinking carton of eggs there for a while. So where do you see things going? And where do you think you can help them in the 5 tips for finance success here in these uncertain times?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got some tips prepared for it. And just to bring that around, I work a lot with business owners, but I like to work with just individuals as well. I think that again, we're passionate about education, so most of my education avenues are geared towards just general education, because I think everybody should have some sort of baseline of knowledge around financial planning. I think financial literacy is very low in our country, and I think it would really help the overall situation if there was a baseline of financial literacy, if it was taught. So one of my missions at my firm is to redo and restructure how financial literacy is approached and how it's taught. So we have a couple programs that do that differently. So I won't necessarily address where I think it's going, because frankly, nobody really knows, and there's best guesses, there's ideas of where it can be. And also my company won't allow me to give projections on that, because frankly, I think that it's projections are just best guesses, right? I do think that I will say that I think that I'm cautiously optimistic we may be getting to the end of some stuff. Because the easiest way to summarize what's been happening is the Fed, there's 2 ways to think about it. What's been happening the last few years is because of the Fed, but why the Fed's been doing what they have been is because we are now paying for what happened in COVID. The stimulus that was put into the country cannot be free. That's not free to be put, whatever it was, 1.2 trillion or whatever it was, into the economy. It has to be paid for somehow. And so now we are experiencing a delayed pain from COVID, is the easiest way to think about it. And the Fed is part of that reason. Now, why it is when the Fed increases rates, that is one of the more powerful tools in their arsenal, but it has the most repercussions or ripple effects in the market. That's why they seldom do it. Last year was an anomaly because they've raised interest rates many times in the past, but never as fast as they did last year. And that's what's been why all this craziness is starting to happen. Well, one of many reasons, I should say. But that was one of the main reasons of why the craziness we have. So part of the reason I'm saying I'm cautiously optimistic, and maybe we may be getting on the tail end or on the downslope, if you will. Not necessarily that it'll get better soon, but is because they have raised rates quite a bit, and I think they appear to potentially be slowing down on the raising of rates, and that will be a big boon to things. But a couple of things I'm going to bring up, and I'll get to the 5 tips here in a minute. But the first thing I want to mention is that like you said, things have been bad for a while in terms of people have been noticing the prices of things have been going up, which actually have been falling since, or pretty level, and in fact falling since the beginning of the year. So there's good signs there. But also it seems like everybody and their mother are talking about how tough the job market is and other things out there. So we've been living in a tough economic environment for some time. So even if later this year, like we were to go into a recession, for example, we may realize that a recession, we were already more or less in a recession. It just became official. And so that is something to think about, is, if and when you see some sort of advertisement, keep that in mind, is that it may not change what we've been experiencing too much. And it's not off the table. It's potentially unlikely, but it's not off the table. If it does happen, the good news is that this will be the most televised and expected recession in history. Everybody's been calling it for a year and a half, so it won't be too surprising. Not that it will, but that is still a potential, because the Fed, their job is their intention is very public. They're trying to slow down inflation. But anyway, so there's a lot of reasons that is one of many. I would call that the main reason, but there's many reasons to be cautious and worried about what direction we're in or where we are just this uncertain time. And when there's uncertainty, that's when the market and everyone else tends to fluctuate a little bit. So how you combat inflation, uncertainty, or a time when we're not really sure what's going to happen. So the first tip I'll give you should be pretty straightforward, but it's cash is king at that. So having some money available to you without hurting your long-term growth, meaning having some money in savings accounts, having money in checking account to be able to live off of, depending if you lose your job, if you, if things happen and you need extra money. It's always good to have some cash on hand, just in case. That's the idea of like a rainy day fund. Start building a rainy day fund if you don't have one, but it's for the uncertain times. And if you see the writing on the wall, like your job may be at more risk than others, then it's always a good idea to have a little more. So always keep that in mind, to have some cash handy. Right now, with where interest rates are, money markets are a type of investment that are basically cash. Those are very safe. They're actually getting a pretty good return right now. So having some money in there wouldn't be a bad place. But the point is having cash, so if you ever need it, it's all about preparing yourself for the potential uncertainties or what may or may not actually happen. So having cash on hand really adds that layer of solidity to your plan. So that's the first tip. Second tip is to pay off debt. And what I mean by that is, and obviously some people are able to do this more than others, so take this with a grain of salt. But the reason I'm bringing this one up is if you can prioritize bringing down your debt load, then that means that your monthly payments, even like paying ahead a few times, that means that your monthly cash flow, your budget won't be as tight. Gives, again, freedom and flexibility for your money. And so if and when something were to happen, you wouldn't necessarily have to pay on that. So don't you overpay on your credit cards, stick with your budget, be a little tighter than usual, so that you don't have any debt to take away from your cash available in an uncertain time. So that's the second one.
Pause you on that in a second.
Yeah.
So on that one, I had a loan that was out. We had paid off credit cards like quite some time ago. And then whenever I was off for a while, I ended up getting a credit card again. Therefore, and I said, you know what, I don't like it. I don't like having that payment every single month, but it was necessary at that particular time. And it was good to have because my credit was good. So obviously you want to make sure that you're available for that. But my question to you is, my interest rate was a lot lower when we first opened that. And then after a certain time, it definitely skyrocketed recently. And I said, nope, okay, I'm just going to completely pay that off. So instead of having extra cash on hand, I said, I don't want that interest rate. So that was something. What do you suggest whenever you said just make the minimum payments and stuff when you need that extra cash? But what if your interest rate goes really high and you're able to?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. And it's a great example is, especially with interest rates, when they skyrocket, when they go up, that's even more reason. Because if you think about it, what interest rates are is that they are invisible money, taxes in a way, or money being taken away from your cash flow. So if I'm paying a 10% interest and my cash or having cash in the bank or even investments are paying me, 5%, 6%, whatever it is, I'm still losing a negative 4% of that difference. So I'm actually losing money long term. That's why credit cards are so, they're a tool like anything. They can hurt you, but they can also help you. But how they hurt you is that they're very easy to use, and then such a high interest rate that people get in this loop of unable to pay it off because of how high the interest rates are. So to that point, if the interest rate is high, then absolutely, that's the ones you should be prioritizing. And I have a whole video on how to prioritize paying off debt if you're interested. And there's a method that I recommend, but you want to pay off the higher interest rate first. And so if it's a high interest rate, yes, you want to prioritize putting that off, because again, if you don't and you pay the minimum, now it's the interest is going to be added on top of that minimum. It's going to take even longer for you to pay, especially with credit cards, because you're looking at double-digit interest rates easy on credit cards, and that adds up a lot faster than you expect and you anticipate. It always does. So especially with credit cards with a super high interest rate, you want to focus. I would actually focus on paying that off depending on the balance versus putting extra money into savings, because it's going to cost you a lot more, again, taking away from your cash flow versus paying it off faster. So if it's a really high interest rate, then yes, I would prioritize doing that. And when I say really high interest rate, I'm probably talking, 6, 7+%, something like that. I would say probably 7+%.
Mine was low and I saw it jump probably just a little bit, but to me it was higher. I'm like, nope, not doing it, paying it off.
Yeah.
I don't like paying that.
Yeah, well, I understand. A lot of people don't like that, and that's again why that's the second piece is
Okay.
that you want to pay out debt. But in an uncertain time, the important thing about finances are tricky because they can become very emotional. And in uncertain times, why you want to be unemotional when you look at what you should do, because yes, you might not like debt, but if you have a low interest rate, although you might not like debt, it would be better to save cash for uncertainty.
Sure.
So in that kind of situation, that's where you want to eliminate I don't like debt, but a good principles, good approach is actually to save cash as opposed to paying off debt. Now, if it's a really high interest rate debt, then you pay that off versus, so that's where it's important to take a step back, not think emotionally, not think what you like or don't like, and just think what's the best strategy for me in my situation. And again, that's where to our conversation earlier, that's where a financial professional typically helps out. Is part of my job is to look at things pretty unemotionally and give you recommendations, especially in tough times. So
okay, great. All right, number 3.
All right, number 3 is going to kind of sound a little odd, but actually to continue to invest. And now this is with a big caveat. Make sure it doesn't take away from 1 and 2. If 1 and 2 cannot be done, or if you do number 3, then take away number 3. But so number 3 again is if you have the ability and you're blessed to have a job, then the recommendation is continue to invest. And the reason is that we're in a economic cycle that is typical for the long term, meaning that there's ups and downs all on the economic cycle, and therefore the market goes up, the market goes down. But why you want to continue to invest is now is a time to take advantage of deals. There's a lot of investments, stocks, bonds that are trading at a discount. Might seem a little scary to put some money in at this time, but especially in a savings account or like a 401k or employer plan, you can take advantage of what's called dollar cost averaging, which is you put some money in at the same time, no matter if things go up and down. And so you're buying at a discount when things go down. And so over time, you'll average positive. I have a video on that as well. But the idea is that you're buying when things are cheap and there are a lot of deals to be made. So a lot of money has been made in times that people are scared and run away from things. I think Warren Buffett said that, and a good investing philosophy is that when things are down, that's when you buy, versus when things are up, that's when you want to sell. It's easier said than done, but that's the gist of things. So now would be time, if you have an automatic investment plan set up, continue to do it. Don't veer away from it. Maybe reassess your investments. And again, that's where a professional would be able to help out. Make sure you're investing into the right things, but as long as you have quality and you're diversified, then keep following your plan.
Right.
Okay. So that's number 3. Number 4 kind of ties into it, but I'm biased for what's called an investment called a Roth IRA. So how a Roth works, and this is number 4, is take advantage of a Roth IRA if you have it, and it ties to number 3. But why I'm saying number 4 is that, first off, this is a retirement plan. So don't do number 4 if you need money in the short term. If there's any short-term goals that you have, or if you can't do 1 and 2, same thing with number 3, is don't do this one if you can't do number 1 and 2 because of this. But if you still have money available, then a Roth IRA would be an excellent place to put some money. How a Roth works is that in a 401k and an IRA, a normal one that is called a tax-deferred investment, it means that you don't pay taxes on the front end, and it grows tax deferred, and then you pay taxes when you take the money out. There's a lot of benefits to that. But why I'm suggesting a Roth is it's the opposite. It's where you pay taxes up front and then it grows tax deferred, and then you don't pay taxes, i.e. your money is tax free on the back end. So why I'm suggesting a Roth, if you have the availability and you meet the qualifications, because there are restrictions on what you can do. Again, I got a video on this as well if you're interested. But why you want to take advantage of that is, again, going to number 3, you're buying when things are down. So when things start recovering and when your investments potentially start growing, it's all tax-free growth. So you're taking advantage of a good situation in the market to benefit you long-term, or volatility in the market to benefit you long-term as well. So that would be number 4, is take advantage of Roth IRA or Roth 401k if you have them, because they would now be a really good time to put some money into there, again, if you're able to. So that's number 4. And then number 5 is kind of financial, but is just I'm a big believer in helping each other out. So with the number 5 is don't forget your fellow man. In an uncertain time, there's ways you can contribute to charity from a financial benefit, but frankly, having money and taking care of each other, that's what's really going to continue us forward. Is in an uncertain time. There's people that are struggling. There's people that are blessed to not be struggling as much. And I think it's important that we forget that we're all having our own challenges in our own way. We're all humans. We're all here fighting the same fight. Just maybe in different circumstances, and so it's important to take care of each other where you can, and don't forget about that piece as well. But if you do some of these things, then you'll be positioned pretty well, no matter what happens. And I think I was thinking about this morning in anticipation of our conversation. I think that we as humans are terrible at predicting the future, and so I think that there's a lot of people trying to make best guesses. But statistically speaking, no one can predict what's going to happen. And so all we can do is plan accordingly, diversify as much as possible, hedge the bets, hedge the risks, and we continue forward. And I think we'll get out of this just fine. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much. What is your YouTube channel that they can follow?
Yeah, my YouTube is at centennialfinancialgroup.com, or at Centennial Financial Group is the YouTube page. Check us out. The program is Big ETH is our educational initiative. It's just teaching finance in a different way. Pretty goofy.
They're funny. I love them. They were, instead of just like watching a YouTube video about finances, that could be boring for most people, like blah 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 blah. But your videos, he is hilarious, guys. You have to watch it on YouTube. So
I appreciate it. Well, that's part of the idea, is that I think finance is taught very dryly, and I think that's one of my theories on why it's not learned. So yeah, I appreciate that. That's what we're trying to do, is make it a little more entertaining. It's actually Centennial Financial Group LLC. Sorry about that.
Okay, and when we're done, can you go ahead and post that in the comments on our Facebook group? So we're on CambriaCounty.com, the Facebook group. Just go ahead and put that in there. And then for those that are watching live or on the replay, we will also put this onto YouTube. And like I mentioned, CambriaCounty.com, there's not a lot on our website right at the moment because we had a humongous event that we just had to catch up on. But now we are going to be doing so much more here in the next couple months, so stay tuned. We'll be having more interviews from people that are local in Cambria County, as well as I love having contests and prizes, so we're going to get back to that. I know we had a lot of people that participated in our pet photo contest or something when we first started, but we'll have a lot of different ones. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ethan. We appreciate you being here in Cambria County and all the help that you've just provided for people watching. And for those of you that need to reach out, you can also, Ethan, put in the comments like your contact information, your website, and that kind of stuff, so they can find you.
Perfect. I'll do that. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time and the opportunity. And it was great to chat with you like always. And yeah, if I can help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And anybody watching right now, if I can help with anything, or even if you have some questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be happy to help.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.
It's not good night. I guess I'm going back to bed. It was raining. None of us wanted to wake up this morning. All right. See ya. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.